Paul will tell you, from the time Ananias was sent to Paul to lay his hands on him, Jesus said to Ananias, Paul is praying now. He's a chosen vessel, and he must know the things he must suffer for my name's sake. That's not theologically possible or popular these days, but suffering and hardship is a part of it. In fact, in this text, you see that the church was persecuted, but they were more blessed. That first century church was blessed. There were more signs and miracles and wonders and all of those things in the midst of that pressure. God, give us some pressure that we might see your works, that we might see your hand. Let the work of God put us in situations that only you can get us out of, that we might glorify you, that we might recognize and never take for granted or be complacent and know that you are God, because God, when we're comfortable, we think it's us. We think it's our own self. When we are in a place where we can figure it out, we don't look to you. That's why I love the text in Proverbs 30 that the prophet Agur said. Read that when you get a moment. But there's a verse in there where he says, Lord, don't give me too much, lest I forget you. Lord, don't give me too little, lest I steal. But give me what is needed, because, Lord, I want to be close to you. But it is important that we take the time to know the will of God in everything, not just the big things, but in the small things. And Paul got to a place where he was breathing cruelty, threats, and murder, and he was confident. He had the authority of the chief priest. He had letters. He had everything. He went from that to trembling and astonishment when he was in the presence of Jesus. You might think you're big and bad, but when you get in the presence of him, you realize that I'm nothing. Just as Isaiah learned in his encounter, so did Paul. And he humbled himself. Lord, who are you? And what do you want me to do? Here's something that is really important. Verse 6. Put verse 6 up. This is instructional. So he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what do you want me to do? This confident man who's threatening people is now in fear and trembling. Then the Lord said to him, arise and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do. God let me know earlier this week, as I was preparing for this, that some of his children are getting impatient in prayer because they want to see this thing. They want to see it materialize. But in this text, we get some insight of how God causes us to move in obedience, not because we see the whole picture, because we walk by faith, not by sight, but in our humanness, we want to see it, and then we go towards it to make sure it's not a mirage. Paul asked a very specific question, what do you want me to do? And the Lord said, arise, go into the city. In other words, that's what I want you to do. Go to the city. And when you get there, you'll be told what you must do. There's some people who would sit there until, Lord, tell me what you want me to do. Where do you want me to go in the city? Who am I going to go see? Am I going to go to a man called Simon the Tanner? What do you want me to do? Be more specific. No, Paul was learning obedience. He was learning obedience. And so what he did is he got up. He couldn't even see. He got up, and the people had to help him go and find the place. As he went, when he got to the city, he was directed on where to go. And after 3 days, for 3 days, he didn't eat, he didn't drink, he was only praying. Paul now was in prayer and fasting. And on the third day, God sent Ananias. God will send you what you need. He will send you what you need in his timing. He just wants you to obey the instruction. He didn't give Paul the whole picture. He told him, go to the city. Not even where to go in the city, and Paul got up and went, and his life was never the same. God is saying to us, it's time for you to move. Don't wait for the whole picture, because you know in part. You prophesy in part, but as you go, it'll be revealed. What God wants is obedience. He had a person who had a heart, a zeal towards God, but not according to knowledge. He's now learning obedience. He was actually in disobedience, but he didn't know it because he did not know God.